Thanks for joining. My name is Sandra, and I'm the psychologist at Soul Shelter. And today we're going to be just shedding light on an important topic that often gets overlooked, which is men's mental health. And really just to create a space to talk about men's mental health, challenge the narratives, the stigma, and really just to create an open space. I'm honored today to really just have a group of men here with me who will be able to share both from their professional experience and maybe also, if they feel comfortable, their own personal experience when it comes to mental health for themselves or people that surround them. So, yeah, I'd like to hand over to the first panelist just to introduce himself.
Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Thomas Austin Obuluta. I'm a counseling psychologist working here in Nairobi. I'm also a mental health advocate.
Hi everyone, my name is Boniface Maya. I'm an IT enthusiast and also the chairperson of Kenya Society of Caregivers.
Thank you. I'm Henry Opondo. I'm a physiotherapist. Currently, I serve the profession as the president of Kenya Society of Physiotherapy, but my primary job is at Amref International University as a program administrator, and I'm glad to be here.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm really glad you're all here, and I think for this month on Instagram, the Soul Shelter, we've been really just raising awareness for this June Men's Mental Health Month, and really talking about the burnout that men experience, whether it's from the expectations that are set on them, also the different tasks that they have to do, and we'll just be touching a little bit on that. Though, just as a starting point, I think it'd be good to share some statistics. So, according to a couple of studies out there from the Kenya Mental Health Survey or also the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, so 20% of men with mental health issues in Kenya seek professional help. And suicide is the leading cause of death among Kenyan men, especially between the age group of 15 and 44 years. And stigma and lack of awareness contribute significantly to underreporting and low treatment rates. And then they also discourage vulnerability. So I'd just like to maybe just open up now to the panelists, just even looking at those statistics I have shared. Is there any reflections that you have or anything you'd like to add?
Thank you, Sandra, for the question. I think for a lot of men, we can summarize their issues to be how they relate with different aspects of their life.
Mhm.
So whether it's their relationship with money, their relationship with their family members or significant others, their relationship with their career,
Mhm.
or their relationship with their bodies or their health,
Yeah.
and such kind of a thing. And a lot of times, this relationship influences their mental health and their
Mhm.
mental health outcomes. And because of societal expectations, there are those as they go through their developmental stages, they experience different types of vulnerabilities.
Mhm.
And hence the statistic when you talk about, for example, the suicidal ideation or
Mhm.
suicidal rates between certain age groups,
Yeah.
because within those age groups, there's pressure to
Mhm.
meet certain expectations for themselves,
Yeah.
for their families, and also from the society.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else who'd like to add about the statistics or even just to add on to what Tom has mentioned?
Yeah, I think I'll agree with what Tom is saying,
Mm-hmm.
but I just want to say that when it comes to mental health, especially in men,
Mm-hmm.
we still do not have a dashboard
Mm-hmm.
that men can be able to say, I'm running low on fuel
Yeah.
Mm,
or the engine is heating up.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
We get to probably appreciate the mechanical breakdown when the car cannot move anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like that you've even just used the metaphor of a car
Mm,
just to show that regular service that's needed, and then also the breakdown that happens when there's no service, or just relating it to mental health. Thank you. Anything else for yourself, Maya?
Sure. Just to add on maybe the expectation,
Mm-hmm.
because the way the society has taken men supposed to provide,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have to outweigh, and this affects now their vulnerability,
Mm-hmm.
because the norm has been that when you actually appear weak,
Mm-hmm.
then that means you're not able to step up as a man.
Yeah.
But now, this is what now leads to what he was saying now,
Mm-hmm.
to the breakdown, because now you have to preserve all these, and then it comes to a point where now there's that breaking point,
Yeah.
and then you always find like you break when it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why we have now those cases of depression and even suicide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've mentioned one thing that I'd just like to even just lead off and ask in terms of vulnerability, because I think I've had all the three of you mention that. What is vulnerability, or what does it look like, or what's the expectation of vulnerability when it comes to men and mental health?
I think one big challenge is the vocabulary
Mm-hmm.
to express vulnerability among
Mm.
men.
Yeah.
Because there are those who will look at vulnerability as a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
There are those who will look at vulnerability as a deficiency.
Yeah.
There are those who look at vulnerability as missed opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
or unmet expectations.
Yeah.
So for many men within the Kenyan society, sometimes we lack the
Mm-hmm.
actual vocabulary to be able to
Yeah.
express vulnerability.
Yeah.
So it's even like when someone talks about their their emotions,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
they may not use the vocabulary that maybe a psychologist would want
Mm-hmm.
to identify with as the emotion.
Yeah.
So you may find someone might say, "I'm feeling bad,"
Yeah.
but the bad could be sad, the bad could be
Mm.
hopeless, the bad
Mm-hmm.
could be helpless. So sometimes the expression is limited by the vocabulary.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to add on that, I was just trying to think out without really reinventing.
Mm-hmm.
There's something called the health of the population or the public health,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
and it somehow defines a vulnerable population,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
a population that appreciates their weaknesses
Yeah.
and challenges
Yeah.
without really feeling being taken advantage of.
Yeah.
When I bring this to men's mental health, I'm looking at an individual, a man,
Mm-hmm.
who can appreciate that I have a problem.
Yeah.
I can open up without
Mm.
losing my dignity.
Mm. True. Yeah.
Maybe to add on, also looking at the aspect of how does the environment also, in terms of having the safe space for
Mm.
because when we talk about men and opening up, and for it not to look like it's a weakness,
Mm.
you need to create that safe space, in terms of it's not like more of when you open up now, this is not you being weak, but
Mm-hmm.
it's you having what Andrea said, an insight
Yeah.
that yeah, you've got this problem. So looking at the environment around you, and if it's men around you and saying like, bro, I'm going through this, and
Mm.
I really want to know how I can overcome this. So
Yeah.
when men create such spaces amongst each other, and
Mm.
we have very different ways on how we can do that as men,
Mm-hmm.
then that gives men the opportunity to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And just listening to each of you, just is quite even myself, who has been working with men for a while, it's making me think of how I could be doing things differently, just from hearing from you. And maybe also just leading off to that. What has been your personal experience supporting someone, a male with mental health issues, and not really to mention their name or anything,
Mm.
but just if you have had personal experience or with someone close to you, and when did they realize it was okay to seek help, or what even facilitated that recognition or insight that I think also you mentioned? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can go in fast on that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tricky because again, almost following the steps of vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I've interacted with a few of my friends
Mm-hmm.
and even relatives
Mm-hmm.
who are men, and they're undergoing something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I cannot say I helped, but I stepped in.
Yeah.
And my experience is that number one, all they needed, number one, was just someone to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Just listen, not to respond, but
Yeah.
listen to understand them.
Yeah.
And and when that takes place,
Mm-hmm.
you find this person starting to develop what my good friend was saying, a safe space.
Yeah.
And then the following day or the other week or next month, they ask, Henry, can I meet you?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, yes, you can meet me.
Yeah.
And when they come, you'll find that the conversation is mixed up,
Mm-hmm.
but you're able to draw the line that there's something disturbing my brother. There's
Yeah.
something disturbing my friend,
Mm-hmm.
uh, which is deep.
Yeah.
It may not have practical solutions, but probably it just need to share.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. And what I'm hearing from you is just an outlet to express whatever is going on in their own way that they can see. And this was gonna come a bit later, but I think it's coming in so nice that I can just mention this now. So even just the idea of this podcast came from one of the followers on Instagram, and I'll just like quote what he said because I think it's really nice to hear it from his words. So one of our followers, and thank you very much for this recommendation because it really like stood out for me. You should think of doing a podcast about this, talking to men from different career and upbringing backgrounds, and how those have affected and molded their habits, beliefs, how they view or respond to challenges in life, how they approach love and relationships and friendships. I feel a lot of men, especially millennials, are living in a lost world where they're going through so much at once and there's barely time to process, let alone talk to someone about everything. Hearing from a variety of men from different backgrounds can truly begin to create a safe space for men in Kenya to comfortably and openly talk about their mental health and emotional well being without the fear of being viewed as soft or needy or too emotional. Dudes are going through it hard out here, and we're all covering it up so no one can see the struggle. I think just yeah, that's quite powerful.
Yeah.
And when I got he so this follower shared this quite early on when I started commemorating Men's Mental Health Month, and that's at that point is where I got the idea even for this podcast because it seems like this safe space is not there. This avenue to kind of express this outlet or just to kind of have that place where you can talk about it is not there. And yeah, so I'm really glad that you guys are here to do this because hopefully it's a start for many more to come. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Any other comments or reflections?
I think I'd say working with the caregivers.
Mm-hmm.
These are men who actually were in the institution and they were so isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So when they're out here and they're trying to, kind of work on themselves,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes very hard for them to open up.
Mm-hmm.
So you find out that many are still isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And as I always say, that nobody succeeds in isolation
Mm-hmm.
because many still don't have the insight because there's what we call the toxic positivity,
Mm-hmm.
where you know that there's something bad actually that is inside you, but you're like,
Yeah.
no, I'm a man. I have to,
Mm.
I got this. I'll actually overcome this.
Yeah.
Instead of you starting to think of how can I open up? How can I
Mm-hmm.
start looking for someone to talk to, someone to open up to?
Yeah.
And then once you have that insight,
Mm-hmm.
then it becomes easier for you to actually open up. So I've had many giving caregivers, that safe space of, you just talk to me, tell me what you're going through, because that is one step of starting to solve the
Yeah.
issue that you're going through. So
Yeah.
that is what, having such conversations and
Mm.
making it sure that everyone have insight
Mm.
of what to actually hold and not to hold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like that you're bringing up the toxic positivity, because that definitely is something that makes both men and even women and children like just mask what's happening, because there's that push to everything has to be good.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other reflections?
I think for me, the reflection I have is
Mm.
um, we have men going through experiences.
Mm.
Some of these experiences can have problems.
Mm.
Others can have challenges.
Mm.
Others could just be having issues.
Mm.
So maybe someone has an experience where they have to make decisions,
Mm.
where they have to change behavior.
Yeah.
Other times, maybe solve problems.
Mm.
So because of these experiences, they you find now uh, I may not have the necessary support
Yeah.
to help me with certain decisions or to help me with certain problems
Mm.
or to help me with certain behaviors, which
Yeah.
then now brings out mental health problems.
Mm.
A lot of times, when men think about opening up and sharing with other people, sometimes the question might be who else is going to be an audience
Mm.
of what
Mm.
I am sharing?
Yeah.
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 Um, and then what will this audience think about me because I
Mm.
have shared my issues with someone else?
Yeah.
So there's always that aspect of do I have the opportunity and the space
Mm.
to share without judgment,
Yeah.
and to receive the support without feeling that this support is limited.
Mm.
So to some extent, you'll find unconsciously men would look for these opportunities. So you will hear of men who have joined clubs.
Mm.
So whether it's a golf club, whether it's a car club,
Mm.
you'll hear of men who have started their own or they are belonging to a boys' club
Yeah.
of some sort,
Yeah.
and a lot of times it's like it's a coping mechanism
Mm.
to help them deal with these issues.
Mm.
They may not have the terminology to say
Yeah.
that this is
Support.
self-care or
Yeah.
this is
Mm.
support,
Yeah.
Mm.
but you'll notice that even within residential areas, you'll find there are those who are getting involved in residential
Mm.
associations. In the church, maybe they are involved in different associations within their churches.
Mm.
And to some extent, this is like a coping mechanism
Yeah.
that is then used to help them deal with these issues.
Yeah.
One challenge that men face as they grow older is making friends
Mm.
and sustaining friendships.
Mm.
So you'll find because of the fluid nature of friendships, you make some and lose some as you
Mm.
go along. As people grow older, sometimes it becomes difficult to make friends.
Mm.
So there are those who are alone,
Mm.
and there are those who are lonely,
Mm.
yet they are with people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And thanks for that. And Maya, I had you agreeing as Tom was speaking. I don't know if you wanted to add something.
No, not really, but I
Okay.
totally agree with what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe also we touched a little bit about the challenges that men are facing. I don't know if you'd like to add anything to what Tom has said. And I know we have touched on them a little bit also earlier.
Challenges men face.
Yeah. In terms of even just that would lead to mental health challenges. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a global concern to
Mm.
me, because we appreciate there's climate change.
Mm.
We appreciate there's technological advancement.
Yeah.
Things are changing.
Yeah.
How comes it's only men who are still supposed to man up and not
Mm.
open up
Yeah.
in this current transition?
Yeah.
Mm.
So I think it's a cultural problem.
Yeah.
And that's how men has been brought up, that you're
Yeah.
supposed to man up.
Yeah.
When you open up, it's a sign of defeat, a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
So I think that is the greatest challenge. That is why we even struggle to keep up certain friends, because we cannot open up and tell them what is going on.
Yeah.
But deep inside, we are hurting.
Yeah.
And we start letting or cutting down
The
our
friends.
potentials, our friends.
Yeah.
I think that is my biggest contribution on the biggest challenge men face in today's world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's a story of someone who was suicidal, and every weekend they were watching football with people. But then the colleagues who are watching football with them did not know that they were going through stuff. Only for them to like, but he didn't talk about it. He didn't open up, you see. Yet on the other hand, the other families were saying, but so and so goes to watch football with so and so, with so and so, with so and so. So they should know more about him, you know.
Yeah.
But they were not able to
Yeah.
open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's probably because, you know, what was said, that you then become afraid to open up, and then also who's also going to get this information. If I open up, who will share it? How will I look? How will I be perceived? Which then leaves people not wanting to speak up. Yeah.
And I think that's very important. You know, there's some medical code that you're not supposed to treat your relative.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? And I think what we do wrong, we as men, is that when we have problems, we try to bring or reach out to probably our closest people to open up to.
Yeah.
I think it is time for men just to look for someone, find someone or get a referral from someone who you do not know and open up to.
Yeah.
Someone you don't live there wondering, should I tell this or should I not speak about this? How about if they share with so and so?
Yeah.
So I think we also need to encourage men that try to seek support
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I like that you mentioned that, because, you know, just earlier on when Tom was mentioning about you know, whether it's the association of the neighborhood, the golf clubs, or the different things. And I do think, even when you look at self-care, even though you may not call it self-care, you know, looking at the different domains of self-care, it's also looking at in terms of something like emotional support. Then do you need a therapist who's then bound by ethical professional guidelines not to be confidential unless the limits are there? And how do you find a therapist also? Yeah. One of the things that I've found, even in my experience, is that sometimes when I've had male clients coming for therapy, I will ask them, do you prefer to be seen by a male therapist, or do you prefer a female therapist? And the answer varies. Some men will say, no, I want a male therapist because they may understand me better. Others will say, I want a female therapist because I can be vulnerable. I don't have to I don't have to man up. I can really show my emotion. So I do agree with you, you know, just seeking that extra support or space, just to be able to talk confidentially and opening, and not being afraid of what will they say or what will happen. Yeah. And I think we've gone into a nice channel space into looking at coping strategies. You know, when it comes to men and mental health, what are things that can be done to cope with all these difficulties you've mentioned before that could be there, in addition to what we've said? Yeah.
I think for me, one thing I would say is that men need to lift weights.
Uh-huh. Women too, but yes.
Exercise.
Yeah.
Exercise, build muscle.
Yeah.
I think that's one good coping strategy. Exercise.
Yeah.
So whether it's going to the gym or running or something, but at least move, have some movement as a coping strategy.
Yeah.
The other one that I've also seen is being conscious of what we eat. Um, the type of food or the relationship we have with food, being conscious about it.
Yeah.
The other one I think is self-reflection, and being honest with oneself. about maybe areas of your life that are working well,
Yeah.
areas of your life that maybe you may think need improvement, and then trying to see what are some of the actions that I can put in place
Yeah.
to get that improvement.
Yeah.
So whether it is financially, whether it is career-wise, whether it's relationships, whether it's health, being conscious about that maybe I'm not working well in this part of this aspect of my life.
Yeah.
What can I put in place to improve on it?
Yeah.
Something else that I've also seen is
Can I ask a question before you move on? Because I
is
might forget.
is
I really like even just the reflection that you're talking about. Though for myself, I'm struggling to see the balance between being able to reflect and then the vulnerability. Because if there's this perception of you need to be stoic, you need to be a man, you need to be strong, does that allow you to have that vulnerability of I'm doing not so good in these places or I'm doing well in these places? And I don't know if any of you would like to respond. All of you can respond to that because it'd be helpful to understand.
I think for me the average man is self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they may not communicate about it.
Yeah.
They may not share it, but the average man is self-aware. For example, if I'm not doing well financially as a man, I would know I'm not doing well
Sure.
financially. You know,
Yeah.
if I'm having relationship problems,
You
I
know.
will know I
Yeah.
have relationship problems.
Yeah.
You see,
Yeah.
but maybe am I communicating about it? Am I identifying what is my role in this issue? Am I seeking help about it? So sometimes that is where now the block of vulnerability comes. So you'll find, yes, I am sitting with my problems because of my awareness, but I'm not doing something about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think as you say that, I'm also just thinking how a lot of the times I hear people say men don't cry. And for me, often when I hear that, I'm like, it's not that, even as a therapist, it's not that I'm gonna get joy when I see a man cry. It's really looking at what are the things a man can do every day to take care of their emotional and mental health. And for me, that's way better than actually seeing someone crying, because I hear that term come up quite a lot. Yeah. I don't know if you have any reflections about how the balance between the vulnerability and then also the assessing what's going right or not. Yeah.
I think I may answer that question
Mm.
using my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I think number one is um, uh, you're number one. You're your own therapist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you're your own therapist,
Mm-hmm.
and so um, or in the midst of all challenges, I think also as much as you're struggling, just try to also talk to your colleagues, just speak to them,
Mm.
hear what they're going through.
Mm.
That might give you some strength
Mm-hmm.
to realize number one, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And number two,
Mm-hmm.
you can begin to share or look for someone to share with.
Yeah.
So I think we need just to continue engaging
Yeah.
whatever we are doing. If we are playing soccer, get one or two person, you can just have a talk.
Yeah.
If you're working in an organization, just get someone you can talk. And it doesn't have to be really within your department.
Mm-hmm.
If it is in the healthcare industry, it could be probably from pharmacy, a
Yeah.
pharmacy and a physiotherapist.
Yeah.
Just talk. That will be able to give you that, you know what? The world has a lot and it's not only you. Don't beat up yourself.
Yeah.
That will be my number one. Number two, uh, on the coping up strategy, I'll probably say, that we just need to step back and appreciate that this body is a machine.
Mm.
It can only operate within certain levels.
Yeah.
So, as much as you may not be seeing the car as completely stalled,
Mm-hmm.
there's what we call preventive maintenance.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so
Absolutely. Yeah.
so so s- even if it is online, and you can get someone to verify you some self checklist.
Mm-hmm.
How well am I? I mean, in the street you walk and you pay 10 bob and you see your weight.
Yeah, true.
Okay?
True.
Why can't you invest on your mind also?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, as wellness, part of wellness.
Mm.
Don't wait until you break down
Mm-hmm.
or until that you look for tears to come.
Yeah.
So I think that will be some, or maybe a coping strategy, but more of a step back just to find out who am I,
Yeah.
what am I doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really like that. And even as you're saying it, I'm just thinking that maybe also one of the things I can attach when we share this podcast is just like a checklist that men can use just to check how they're doing and if they do need any support. So that's something I can add. Yeah. Thank you for that. Any other comment?
I think when you mentioned about men don't cry,
Mhm.
takes me back 2013, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've been telling myself and, how we have normalized men don't cry. And I was like, yeah, I'm not supposed to cry. Why should I cry? And then one day it hit me. I lost my sister and I was trying to be very strong, like, men don't cry.
Yeah.
She's gone. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And I started tearing down. And from that day, I actually realized, oh, so it's just a fallacy. So we can also cry.
Yeah.
So it also begins with, that realization and having the courage to just be vulnerable because, vulnerability it's way hard. And
Yeah.
from how the society has taken it, it becomes very hard for you to think of even being vulnerable. But once it hits you, then it becomes easier. Once you have that insight that
Yeah.
it's good to be vulnerable, and when you cry it off, it happens that it goes, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the coping mechanisms that I've actually been using personally is as a morning person and finding a way on how you connect with nature actually, because many people always overlook nature.
Yeah.
Because there's a way nature heals. And taking that time, even if you're a morning person, you just wake up, try to do some meditation and have that self-reflection that he was talking about,
Yeah.
just to get more insight. And then with that, you're able to outweigh now from this checklist, what am I able now to overcome, and
Yeah.
what am I able to seek help. Then
Yeah.
it becomes now easier for you to even think of, if I need help now,
Yeah.
where do I start from?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the nature because nature is it's out there, it's everywhere. You look out your window, uh, you you drive, you go to work on your lunch break. Nature is everywhere, and you can really connect with it and just have that grounding sense that comes from being in nature. Yeah.
Yes,
So go
Sandra.
ahead.
Yeah, I think I want to say something a little bit controversial.
Yes. Please do.
That actually men do cry.
Yeah.
We just do not see their tears.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Internally.
Internally. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so from my experience,
Mm,
a man will cry.
mm,
You'll see them cry
mm,
when they start doing something out of the routine.
yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Is a clinical nurse, just got a good job in one of probably private hospital. They go take a loan and go and buy the most expensive car and say they just want to take care of themselves. That is a man who is crying. He's running away from something.
Yeah.
A man goes for a social drink and always pass out. That is a man crying.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
A man starts to drive to Namanga every weekend.
Yeah.
Every weekend.
Yeah.
And come back and wake up
Yeah.
when the church is done
Yeah.
and prepare for Sunday. That is a man crying.
Yeah.
We're just not seeing the tears.
Yeah. Also, men engaging in high risk behaviors, whether it's the multiple sexual partners, unprotected sex, or over indulging in substances. And I do agree with you that is really men crying. Yeah, it's not really that you want to see the tears, but more what are the symptoms that you're seeing that are making you notice that maybe this person may need some help.
Yeah, and I think that is where is where the self-assessment checklist or the questionnaire can be of very help
Yeah.
to any of the brothers outside here who
Yeah.
are experiencing these things internally,
Yeah.
just to try themselves and find out what could be going on
Yeah.
and what could be the direction.
Yeah.
Because that is the time you'll realize it's too much late.
Yeah. True. True.
I think one aspect I want to revisit
Mm-hmm.
is the question that what do men tell themselves? So as an individual, maybe I might be asking, what am I telling myself
Mm-hmm.
that is making it okay to behave in certain ways
Yeah.
or to make certain decisions?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, for me, it's to change what I'm telling myself because I will go to a different direction
Yeah.
based on the previous things I was telling myself.
Yeah.
So even when someone says men don't cry, maybe this is something that they're telling themselves based on what they have heard from society or from culture.
Yeah.
And now they are behaving according to what they have told themselves. The other aspect that I've also found interesting is that sometimes what you see when you're experiencing problems influences how you deal with those problems.
Sure.
For example, when you say I go to Tigoni to the tea plantation, it looks peaceful, calm,
Yeah.
orderly. If I go to OTC in town,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking about the same problem
You'll
again,
be yeah, you'll be mixed up.
will
Yeah.
be mixed up. Yes.
Yeah.
So that is why you'll hear of certain men who will take a drive out of town, for example, because what they see will influence how they perceive their problems.
Sure.
Like those who say, I'm going for um, a music festival in Diani, for example, or a holiday in Mombasa, or I'm going to Naivasha. For some people, that is therapy
Yeah,
to
true.
themselves,
Yeah.
that I got out of my usual situation. I went to a different situation, and based on what I experienced in that different situation, it helped me to now start asking myself, maybe when I go to Nairobi, this is what I'm going to do differently.
True. So
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
the kind of like getting out of the environment where the situation is
Yes,
and
yes.
getting a new
Yes.
perspective. Yeah. And I wish we had loads of time to talk about this. And I think this can be the start of many to go, many more to come. And I don't know if you have any final comments you'd like to make about mental health, just as we wrap up.
Yeah. Just as I mentioned in the beginning that we've not had or we've not been able to appreciate that there's actually a dashboard for mental health.
Yeah.
It's there. It
Yeah.
exists. Look for it.
Mhm.
But in closing, I want to say that mental health is real.
Mhm.
Silence is safe,
Mhm.
but sharing provides healing.
Yeah. Nice. Nice. Thank you, Henry.
I think for me, what I'd say is, first of all, we need to change on how we perceive men in terms of mental health and when they want to become vulnerable. And also for men is for us to change our mindset because it starts from there. Because if you want help, then you can only get it when you go for it.
Yeah.
So it's us starting to change our mindset into understanding that being vulnerable is okay, and it's one step of healing, because then when we have that courage to open up and to be healed, then even the people that we love will be able to safeguard them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
For me, in closing, I would encourage men to have their own toolbox or toolkit for mental health, resources and things they can do to maintain positive mental health and also to deal with mental health issues that may come about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really nice. And thank you all for your closing remarks. Really just powerful to hear like what you think could be a way forward or an action of thinking in terms of men's mental health. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. And I think for me, one of the reflections I'll make at the end is that mental health for men is a shared responsibility, and I think we need to continue the conversations just to create the safe spaces to share the resources and to really challenge the stereotypes and the stigma, just to make care accessible for everyone. Thanks for joining, and we will be sharing a couple of tools in the links, and you can just check and use what you find is helpful for you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for
All right.
having us.